You are watching the Midtable Up Podcast highlights. Please put your foot through that like button and subscribe to the channel. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, as well as Spotify and the Podcasts app. Interesting shout actually, because my number 8 is a fellow teammate from that same year. So I have gone with Benjamin Mendy. Now, yeah, before I elaborate, I will say, yeah, okay. So before I elaborate, I will say that obviously, Benjamin Mendy is still young, and, by the time his career is finished, I could be embarrassed for putting him on this list. But, we were talking about players not playing a single minute. And Mendy, not only was that Mendy at that tournament, but even when you look at the that year when they won the Premier League, they won the League Cup, and obviously in 2019, when again they won the FA Cup, the League Cup, and the Premier League as well, Man City, again, played such, and I know injuries were obviously a big part of it. You've got to think that if he was fully fit and in form, he probably would have featured more than he did. Certainly at City he would have done anyway. But yeah, I just because the complete lack of football that he's contributed, not only in the World Cup but also to the other things that he's won. Again, already he's realistically won more in his career than 90% of footballers will ever win.
Yeah,
I know he's starting to come back a little bit now, but he had that bad injury at City shortly after he first started, and since his return, he's never really, he's never really done it, has he? And I always feel like they're always on the lookout for another fullback. I mean, City have loads of fullback issues, obviously, but when you think of the kind of player that when he first burst onto the scene at City, he looked like he could have potentially been there years and years, got injured, which was obviously a bad injury, but then has played very little football since. And the football he has played has been, average at best. And as I said, he's obviously still young and he's still got a way to go in his career. So by the time he hangs up his boots, I could be sat here going, oh no, well, you know what? He was a fucking great left back.
He's not that young, though. Like, he's not old, but he's 26.
He's 26.
He's
okay.
26, so he's not like.
I'd convince myself he was younger than that. Okay.
Well, do you know what? It's probably because you don't see him a lot, and he's an interesting player for our previous podcast about wasted potential. Because do you know he joined Manchester City in 2017? Would you like to take a guess at how many appearances he's had in all competitions since 2017?
Can't be many more than 40.
Bang on. It's 40.
No way.
Yeah, no, genuinely. It's 100%. It's 40.
No way. I can't believe that.
That's dead on. I'm very impressed.
No, well done, Simon. Honestly, I was gonna go with like 20 odd or something, but I mean, I'm surprised at 40. But for Simon to get it on spot on, I can't believe that.
On the nose, mate. On the nose.
Half of those were in the 2019-2020 season.
Yeah, I remember Benjamin Mendy when he was at Monaco, though. And he did look a hell of a player at Monaco. And I think George is right. When you look at his injury record, it's definitely a huge part of why he hasn't hit the heights that many expected him to. And I think, was he not injured going into that tournament? I think he only just...
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was. As I said, he was probably there to make up the numbers, but he wasn't really properly fit going into that tournament. So obviously that contributed to him not getting any game time. But again, it was kind of weird because, Man City had won the Premier League at that point as well, and obviously they'd won the League Cup earlier in the season, and it was something like he'd won 3 medals having played 10 games in the last 12 months. Something daft like that, which is just, kind of disgusting when you sit there and think about it. I mean, obviously great for him, and, you can't begrudge the guy. But again, I know I said it's almost like you've almost won the lottery.
Yeah. Have you? He does seem like a funny guy though. Like if you see interviews and stuff with him, like
he seems a proper character.
Joking, dancing, he looks like a fun guy. But as you say, his football career is not has not been the best.
Have you watched that Amazon Prime documentary, All or Nothing, from Man City? Yeah, he comes across as a real character.
No, I've still not watched it yet. I mean, but yeah, no, on his social media, he comes across as a real character.
A huge part of that documentary was Mendy's rehab. Like, I remember watching, like, they flew him out to see a knee surgeon and stuff. So they were following him around, like, as this, which was a real bad injury. Like, he was out for basically best part of a year. So that's why he's only had 40 games in 3 years. I mean, he missed basically a whole season. So he's never quite got back to that level. And I think he's lost some of his pace and power that he had when he was a younger man, probably because of the injury.
I agree on that. Yeah, completely. I think he doesn't look the same. And I know, obviously, it was a very bad injury, as you said, so it is difficult to come back to that level you were before the injury. But yeah, I do feel that he hasn't really looked the same since then, which was a shame because, you know, he did look like he was going to be a really, really good player. And obviously, there is still time for it to turn around. But yeah, as I said, you know, with City always looking for, you know, fullbacks and things, I don't really think that bodes well.
Okay, great shout. So on to number 7.
That's the final whistle. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Midtable and Up podcast. If you enjoy our top 10 lists, please make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. Let us know what you would have done differently. If you watch this episode on YouTube, make sure to put your foot through that subscribe button and leave a like on the video, as well as follow us on Spotify, the podcast app, to keep up to date with the series. Thank you very much. See you next time.